Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Rocky Colavito was on this show last week, and it brought back great memories for a lot of Indians fans when baseball was much simpler. He's being honored this week as the tribe gets ready for the All-Star game coming up on Tuesday. The 1959 team, Rocky's last in his first term with the Indians, was my favorite team of all time. The infield had Vic Power, Billy Martin, Woody Held, and Bubba Phillips, and the outfield of Minnie Minoso, Jimmy Pearsall, and The Rock, Rocky Colavito. The real Tito Francona was part of the outfield rotation. He hit .363, falling just short of the batting title because he didn't have enough at-bats. 4 or 5 of the players, plus Indians pitcher Gary Bell, were certifiable. They were also very good, taking the White Sox into mid-September's pennant race. And games rarely lasted more than 2.5 hours. Night games in Cleveland, believe it or not, started at 8 o'clock. And we didn't even know or care about October baseball. We didn't know what it was all about. Now that seems to be what it is all about. Bud Shaw is here tonight. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into our 23rd consecutive year, soon to be the 24th, here, right here, of course, on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw is with us from WKYC.com. Hello, Bud.
It's a pretty bold prediction that it's soon to be the 24th.
We got it till early September.
Oh,
you
okay.
think we'll hang in there?
I think you'll do
then?
that. Yeah, all right.
Maybe not. Nobody's promised anything in this world.
It's a tough business, right?
No, I'd rather be a rocket scientist. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can reach us by email during the show, and that's at realleslavine@gmail.com. Bud, before you get into your commentary, this Tyler Skaggs, and I haven't heard in the last 45 minutes, and has anything been announced?
I have still not seen anything that kind of shines any light on the cause of death, but
you know,
it's a terrible story.
The Indians had 2 pitchers in 1993, and then of course Olin and Cruz never actually pitched for the Indians, but he would have made that team. But the Angels, California Angels or Los Angeles Angels, I just looked through and I saw 5 guys over the years, and the one I remember most is Lyman Bostock, who was a terrific hitter.
Yeah.
Had a career average of .311. He died during a shooting in Gary, Indiana. Mike Miley was a highly regarded pitcher, or shortstop rather, and he was also a quarterback in college, I think at LSU, but that may not be correct. Louis Valbuena, the former Indian, was killed over the...
that was over last offseason,
just in December, and then Nick Aitenhart, remember him, is an automobile accident. After an Angels game, somebody crashed a stoplight or a light, or a stop sign. And then, of course, now Tyler Skaggs. Just a tragic story, no question.
I think he would have been 28 years old a little later in July, so it's really...
And he had been teammates with Arizona with Trevor Bauer. And Adam Plutko also was with him at UCLA, so it's just a terrible, terrible story. I believe you have a commentary that you'd like to get to.
It's not related to baseball, even though we have the All-Star game coming up, which should be a pretty exciting time.
Right. Let me guess, football?
Yeah, you know, it's always a safe bet, right? if you have something to say about the Browns, and this time
is the place.
Something happened to make me have something to say about it. Well, it didn't make me. I chose to. But you know what I'm saying.
Here's Bud Shaw with an opening comment.
Thanks, Les. Cleveland Browns running back Kareem Hunt was questioned outside a downtown bar Saturday night after some kind of a disagreement or incident inside the establishment. No police report was filed. The Browns say they've talked to Hunt and will have no further comment. So no harm, no foul, right? The media is just creating another controversy here, right? Well, not exactly. I mean, Hunt is the one in alcohol and anger management counseling. He shared that with the media earlier this year. And the Browns are the ones who have announced a zero-tolerance policy for Hunt. It was the Browns who tried to justify signing a player cut by Kansas City and facing a league suspension. The Chiefs worried about Hunt going back to his hometown, Cleveland, during the off seasons when he played there. The The incident that resulted in an 8-game suspension happened here. Now Hunt not only lives here, but also works here, if he does in fact get the opportunity after 8 weeks off for bad behavior and at least one recent night of bad judgment. I think we can say that much.
All right, I've got a couple of questions
Okay.
about how this story breaks. So
Yes.
let's say it happened at, what time do we think it happened?
Don't know exactly.
2 o'clock in the
But
morning?
Probably late night, yeah.
Probably 2 o'clock. The police, it gets reported to the police. Do they have John Dorsey's phone number in their wallets?
I'm sure there's a contact on the Cleveland Browns who's got a law enforcement association of some sort.
Right, so if
That's
something
usually-
happens, that's what
somebody
they call.
hears.
Can you
Somebody
just-
hears about it.
Can you just imagine John Dorsey at 3 in the morning when the phone rings and he has to put on his Cleveland Browns sweatshirt because he may have to leave the premises?
You don't think he?
Do you think they wait till, a civil time in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, or is 3 o'clock? I mean,
I would think
my guess
maybe-
is 2 o'clock is for one event, 3 is another, 4 is something else.
I would think maybe in an incident like this, Les, that maybe they did wait till the next morning because there was no arrest, there was no
Right.
police report.
No police cam.
I'm not in any way suggesting that he's done anything wrong. It's just that, given his history of things, I don't know. I mean, I go out a lot.
Yeah,
used
but
to
you
go out a lot as a young person too.
Yeah, but
I was
you
never
didn't-
questioned by the police.
And
so-
not only that, you were never under the situation where if you get caught doing something, your livelihood is done.
Yeah, and listen, I understand, and nobody stands in a bar or stood in a bar when I was 23 or 24 years old and said, "Oh, that's the guy over there who's
Yeah.
the writer. Let's go talk to him, or let's go give him some grief about whatever we want to talk to him
Right.
about." So, I mean, these guys are targets in some ways. Now,
Well, they're not
we
a
don't
target
know-
if they're at home.
no, and we don't, and no, I don't think anyone expects a guy to, almost like house arrest, right? That he's supposed to stay in his house every night until he comes off suspension. I don't think anybody expects that.
Mike Masetta from Nature Stone said if he creates his own man cave and invites all his friends, he'll supply the Nature Stone. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow, wow, that is a good offer.
Yeah, I don't know if he meant it, but it's part of our conversation.
So that's all. I don't know that it's a big deal, but this is the kind of thing when you take on a guy who's had issues, and you've announced to everyone that there's a zero tolerance policy, then you're sort of hanging out there on a branch the next time that something happens with the guy. What are you going to do?
We know what zero tolerance means, but was that something that is a zero tolerance thing?
Well, that's what I mean. Now,
Yeah.
no, I don't think it was, and that's why we
Unless they're
haven't heard.
hiding something somewhere.
Yeah, unless something else happened there that we just don't know about. And
How do you feel how do you think the fans feel about it, rooting for this guy who obviously uses bad judgment?
well, I mean,
Or don't you care?
They should be used to it. I mean, this is exactly what they did with Josh Gordon.
Well, they're used to it and it didn't pan out.
Most of the fans that I know during that time would basically say, he's a great talent, and so he has some problems, but he hasn't hurt anybody, and let him get through this, and why cut him? So I think there's going to be that feeling. They're not as attached to Kareem Hunt because he's never
Right.
played here.
And if he doesn't play here, if something happens and they dump him, doesn't cost him a penny.
No, and from a fan standpoint, I think they look at this team and they still see Nick-Chubb and so far,
It's
not
another
yet,
reason to keep
and
Duke Johnson.
Duke Johnson.
It's
and
another
they see
reason
a
to
pretty
keep
good
him.
team, and they see a really good offensive team. So I don't think there'll be the same, shock value or fans being upset
No,
that
but-
if they end up having to part ways with him, which I'm saying they're a long way from doing apparently. So this incident isn't leading them in that direction right now.
how many
But it's got to
knuckleheads-
give them some concern.
Yeah. How many knuckleheads can you have on a team?
Well,
There's a variety of knuckleheads, I
I mean, you
suppose.
could argue this whole second chance thing. I mean, John Dorsey's the guy who drafted
Right.
him, and
In Kansas City.
Yeah, and there were issues when he was coming out of college that people knew about. I think that's one of the reasons why he went in the third round when he
All
went.
right, you know what I don't want? You know what I don't need to see?
What's that?
Some PR piece of Kareem Hunt at some school somewhere doing whatever they do.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a.
Doesn't
I was
sound.
going to say, nobody should think of Dorsey as Father Flanagan, and then I started thinking nobody will get that reference, right?
No.
But it's that
Just like
kind-
my Rocky Calavito.
Yeah, it's like the right guy. So, it's not like when teams say, "Oh, we're we're going to help this young man get back and get his life together and all, and that's all we really care about. Well, we know that's not
you care
true.
about 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, and this guy's a great talent. So I think they've swallowed some of or trampled over some of their own principles when they signed him so quickly after the Chiefs let him go. And now we'll see whether it works out.
You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine, with new content posted each and every day, and we'll take the best comments and air them during the show. Bud, were you with us when we talked about Emory University and their
yes,
piece that they did on fan?
Because it's a very well-respected university in a city where I used to work, but that poll made no sense. Made no sense.
We're going to undo it because somebody looked at it and said, that can't possibly be. We'll do the real poll here and come up with the right teams and the right numbers. So we'll do that.
I'd be glad to pass judgment on this poll, too.
We'll be back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today: Richard Petty, Miles to Go, 1947, Tony Armas, Clark Kellogg, Jose Canseco, and who's the last one on that list? Sean Casey.
Sean Casey, the mayor.
They're trying to make me hurry up, apparently. They want me to leave out some guys. So I won't tell my Clark Kellogg story until next time. Or do you think it's worth telling?
Well, my understanding is that you claim to have done the first Clark Kellogg's first couple TV games.
When he had to leave the pro game due to knee injuries, and I claim that I did Cleveland State games with him and taught him the ropes.
You are credited with that by you.
Well, you be the judge if I'm credited or I did it. So Ken Carmen and Anthony Lima had him on near the end of the basketball season. And I said, ask him if he remembers the first couple of games that he ever did on TV, that he was the color analyst, because it was me and him doing Cleveland State games. So Anthony and Ken, they said, hey, Clark, do you remember your first games ever on TV? He says, yeah, it was Cleveland State in the mid-'80s. They go, yeah. And who was it? And he goes, Denny Schreiner.
So clearly he remembered. However, did not.
I forgot that he did he did the first two games with Denny, and then he followed up with me the rest of the season. But he was the kind of guy, and Bud, you've seen it, whether it's at spring training or exhibition basketball or whatever. First time you see a guy do what they do on the field, you know exactly. You got a Hall of Famer. The first time I'm with Clark Kellogg on a TV broadcast, there's no question he was headed for bigger and better things.
Yeah. Well, I felt that way when, believe me, I'm not comparing the two, but just locally when I first saw Allie LaForce on TV.
Right.
You see a lot of young people on these days, and some of them you're just not sure whether they just don't come across as very credible. I thought from the minute she got on TV, she was good. I remember calling a guy at ESPN who I knew, and I said, hey, there's somebody here that you guys should probably take a look at. That's how strongly I felt about. She just had a very good way of carrying herself.
Yeah, I think her first assignment here was Channel 8 with the high school games, I think. and all of the crew and John Telich and Danny Coughlin immediately said, "This is."
Yeah, she's sharp. She has a good way about her. She asked good questions when she did, and she'll be back as part of the celebrity softball.
Think she'll go
game.
deep?
I don't know. The one I'm going to bet against Simone Biles knocking it out of the park.
You don't
That's
think
the
she
only
will?
one that I'll bet against. Well, she's about 5'1". You know?
Oh. Are they going to do it where home plate will be near second base so they can reach
I
the
would
bleachers?
hope. That would be. I would let Stipe was Miocic was
a baseball
was
player.
a baseball player
Yeah.
and a football player and
Right.
everything else. So I think baseball was one of his real loves. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to
And
see whether he can.
He,
take
like
it out.
me, has a first name that can only be us. I mean, if you say Stipe in this town,
Yeah.
and if you say Les, what do you have?
Yeah. Equal
A friend
fame.
of mine named Les, and in 1999, the Cleveland magazine had the most interesting people edition. So we decided to come up with the most interesting people named Les, and we got up to 5.
That was it, huh?
That was it.
Was
Couldn't get to
Les
99.
Moonves and Les
No,
Levine
this is
on
local, so you're right. We could have used Les Moonves at that point. All right, so you were here when Emory University, somebody there decided that the Cleveland Browns were
Yeah.
not high on the list of the fan base.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at where they were, and it has to do with engagement, cuisine. What cuisine? Hot dogs. That's not cuisine. Savviness and internet personality. I mean, don't you think, however you judge it or whatever your criteria is, that's what's going to win?
Well, I think it certainly skews the results when you use certain, like the one from Emory used like box office revenue or something like that, you know. Well, for an organization that hasn't raised its ticket prices in a while, for good reason, because they've been the dregs of the league, you would think that they'd already be behind the 8 ball there.
All right, so this is Mike Tanner who put this list out, and let's see what he does. This is now the fan base ranking based on Mike Tanner, the Bleacher Report. This is, so Cleveland goes from Emory's report of 27th in the NFL to number 2 behind Kansas City.
Yeah, now this, I'm not saying that this is a more credible poll because of Cleveland's placement on it, but, Kansas City ranked in the bottom 5 of that other poll too. And I've been out there for sporting events before.
They're crazy.
And it's a great, great sports
All
town.
of those are. All of those are.
Green Bay I've been to also, Seattle I've been to, and Oakland also. And I would say that that's a much more credible top 5.
And when you look at that top 5, Seattle is the only one that isn't from the merger, since the merger in the late 60s. So Kansas City and Cleveland, Green Bay, as well as Oakland matched that. So I don't know that number 2 is right, but although when you think about 20 years of horrible, for the most part, football, and anybody is still with this team, I would say that gives them extra points.
You and I have sat in that press box in fourth quarters of games over the many years now when it's been emptied out, and it never filled up.
Right.
And usually that happens later in the season when it starts getting really cold out. But we all know that this is a terrific NFL town.
Is there any question that whatever the number was, 1.3 million or whatever for the Cavs in hot weather? Why are you laughing?
Oh, because it's such a trumped up number.
And I was glad to have a part of it.
Yes.
What happened is Anthony Lima made up a number, and then I said, on vaudeville, the odd numbers are funnier, so make it 1.3.
As opposed to 1.2 or
1.2 or 1.4.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you had a part in that.
Well,
I didn't know that.
did, and then somebody pointed out, by the way, 1.3 million is really 1,300,000. That's an even number.
I guess when you think about it that way. Those are numbers that I am not familiar with. So
in anything.
Yeah. So what were you going to say about the Cavs? Oh, because another indicator of a really good sports town. The 1.3.
Yeah, I mean,
we all know it wasn't probably 1.3, but that was just a great scene.
It's good to hang your hat on that one, though. All right, but now the Browns, if they win it, and the parade would be in the middle of winter, you think I think they'll still put up one. If it was 1.3 then, it'll be 1.3 now.
Well, listen, all you have to do is travel around the country a little bit with this football team, and you can't help but run into the Browns backers clubs. And they're not only all over the United States, but they're all over the world, really. And now, some of them may not be very big, obviously, but you're going to have a lot of people flying back into Cleveland for that.
No question
if
about
it gets down to that.
216-575-0403 if you have something to say to Bud Shaw, or me for that matter. You can email us during the show at rio-les-levine@gmail.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of the harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday now with the post time at 6 p.m. It's open early every day for simulcast action and the weekly Sunday contest. Top prize on the seminar and handicapping, $500 in cash each week. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Danny Salazar is being heard from. Excited about that?
I really am not, no.
But you might be.
Really?
Yeah.
What's going to change my opinion?
If he continues what he did against the elementary school in Arizona in the fall league or winter league taking place in June, July.
I'm going to need to see him in uniform, and I'm going to need to see him get through a few appearances
Let's
first.
take a look at what he did in his first outing in Arizona. We'll do that when we get back. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
My basement was a disaster. We tried carpet, we tried tile on our uneven basement floor, but nothing worked.
Moisture, dampness, even flooding will not harm Nature Stone. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of June and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
But it's time for a How Come Quickie. How come if you bought hearing aids that were made in Germany, you might only hear German words? Is that possible?
I think it really depends on how old you are.
How much you hear?
Yeah,
even if you have the hearing aids?
Yeah. You're not guaranteed to hear.
I was looking into buying some.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and the guy was telling me that this is what he showed me an example, like I'm going to know, and he says these are the best. It's lined up geographically and chronologically and everything else with the sun and the satellite. And I said, wow, what kind is it? And he said 6:45.
You know, for a minute there, I thought this was a real story. I should have known.
Well, it is. I'm just working on my material. You never know when I'm going to need it. All right, so Danny Salazar got paid $4 million from a team that was short on money and couldn't sign Michael Brantley, who I understand is a all-star starter this year for Houston.
Yeah.
So they decided to take $4 million and give it a try on Danny Salazar. And if you count what he did in the Arizona League Sunday, they're getting their money's worth, Bud.
Yeah, I don't think you can count that. Les.
Salazar threw 1 2/3 innings, striking out 5 in Arizona League start on Sunday. So what do you think? I mean, this could be the guy that could save this season.
Well, a couple years ago, when I was at cleveland.com and Doug Maurice and I were doing these, Bud versus Doug debates online, I remember claiming that I thought Danny Salazar would have a chance of being the number 1 or number 2 starter in the rotation based on his stuff.
Right.
And Doug, of course, laughed me off the set, understandably. And that may have been the worst prediction I've ever made, but I'll say this, it's worse that the Indians thought that there was something there too.
Right.
Because they're the ones that paid the $4 million
You're
for
excusable.
It. So, yeah, exactly.
What are they thinking?
Exactly. So,
all right, but
he's just a guy, Les, that, he's never how do you say it? He's never had that
desire.
I don't know if it's desire. I guess that's it. You know, he's just never had that
just happy to
thing
be
that you
there.
look and you say, wow, this guy wants to be really good, you know, and he's going to be really good
And think
no matter
about that.
what.
He was the Indians' choice when Francona in his first year led them to the first wild card
Yeah.
position. So they
I
had
mean, his stuff is electric when he's on,
and it rises with the fastball.
But there's always been something missing there from his makeup. And now when you throw the issues that he's had physically on top of that, it's just hard to see him and say, here's a guy that could come back and really help during a season when clearly they've had some issues in the rotation.
I know that you can't judge it on what you see on TV, but when they would show him on TV, he'd always be laughing, and I think that's part of it. And maybe that's not fair for us to judge him on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Francisco Lindor's laughing, having the greatest time of his life as well. He should.
Yeah, and Carrasco has that kind of upbeat personality too.
Right.
He's one of the more, you know, does more of the pranks on that team. Kluber does too, by the way. Like the one unknown.
You'd never know that.
Nobody knows it really about Kluber, but he's behind the scenes that way. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that. I just don't think that Salazar's ever had that commitment to being good and that desire to just
it's his last shot
rise
at it.
above. Yeah, it definitely should be.
All right, a couple of things. We haven't talked about Baltimore and what happened there, but first of all, the Indians started a 3-game series in Kansas City, and they've got you got Trevor-Bauer on the hill tonight. You would think that puts them in good position to get a start on this 3-game series.
Yeah, you know, we keep putting it in the terms of like, will the Indians be buyers or sellers at the All-Star break? And I think it's not even the question. It should be, will the Indians be sellers or stand patters? Is that a word?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I don't think they're going out to improve this team unless somewhere in the next 3 weeks they eat up 6-7 games on the Twins. Then I think you might see them say, okay, look, we owe it to this clubhouse.
I happen to think if they can knock 2 more off here before the All-Star game and then start with Minnesota, I like their chances at that point.
Of what? Their chances of what?
Of getting back in against Minnesota. But let me ask you the different question, and that is, how much stock do you put on making the wild card? Is that something that, I mean, you're not going to turn it down.
I think you keep the team together to do that, but I don't know that you go chasing contracts.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, that's what I think.
And then within a game, I don't want to do scoreboard watching on the wild card, although I do watch it on Minnesota, but they're only a game. I think they're only a game out of the wild card, and you're talking about 80-some games still left.
Yeah, there's a long way to go, and there's even a long way to go between now and the trade deadline. I just happen to think that they're going to be offered something for Bauer.
And they have to think about it.
Between now and then.
Yeah.
And it's going to make them think really long and hard. Now, you could ask, well, can you trade Trevor-Bauer and still procure a wild card? I think so.
Maybe.
I think you can.
I'll ask the different question. If you just keep Trevor-Bauer, why can't you be the favorite to win the AL Central next year?
Well, you could.
If you add an outfielder or 2.
You could. I don't know where those players are coming from if you don't make any deals. But
True. Well, in the offseason, you could sign an outfielder, but
which would cost you.
Yeah.
And then you'd also have to pay Bauer
$18 million
that's true. To come back
but
and pitch for you.
But if you look
next
at
year.
your roster, which they did this year, and they made the same decision, but if you look at your roster and think that you can still win beat Minnesota next year, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Well, even, you know, I would put it in the terms of this. If you're going to keep Frankie Lindor for next year, you should try to win with him, right?
Yes.
So I don't think we're ever going to see this fire sale this season. There's not going to be that. Plus, I don't know that they have the pieces to constitute a fire sale.
To
I think
satisfy
Bauer will
anybody
get
else.
offers. I think some people will call about Brad Hand. And then you have to ask yourself, are you hurting the team's chances to win a wild card if you deal Brad Hand?
He's 23 of 24.
Yeah. And I know they have a deep bullpen, and they have one of the best bullpens in the league right now. But to me, that's a different question. And that one, I think they have a harder time doing it, Les, because he's under such a team-friendly contract that you're going to come back next year, as you say, wanting to contend.
Yeah.
And I think you could
you'd be
do
looking
that.
for that guy.
Yeah, you'd be looking for that guy again. And I don't think you can trust that Nick Whitgren is going to become that guy.
All right, Indians getting ready, 3-game series in Kansas City starting tonight. Bud Shaw with us. Still time to get a phone call in at 216-575-0403. By the way, I'll be on 92.3 The Fan going solo tomorrow in for Baskin and Phelps tomorrow from 10 until 2. Hopefully you will join me at that point.
I have some breaking news.
What's that?
When you just said hopefully you will join me at that point, were you talking to the viewers?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant me because I will be on with you tomorrow.
I don't know that.
I do know that.
So you heard I was going to be on, you called and said, can I be on?
Of course, I did, yeah.
When did they call you?
My call got in right before Clark Kellogg's came in. So they got me on it in the 10 o'clock hour tomorrow.
Well, good. I'll be awake at that point. So you, wait a minute. So like the husband's always the last to know? Is that what's happened here?
Apparently you have a very good producer who's trying to line up some people for you.
Who else will I be having?
Denny Schreiner?
Well, I got to fill 4 hours because Baskin nor Phelps. Should I say that I'm in for Baskin nor Phelps?
Yeah, I think you would say that. But I'm going to come up with completely new material between now and 10:20 tomorrow.
You can ask me about Clark Kellogg.
We could talk about NBA free agency. How's that?
No, we can't. We cannot do that. Hey, we got the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you've got something to say and it's not from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern when we do the show live, you can call us at 216-200-6650. Call anytime, leave a message. Leave them short if you can. They're called quickies, sir. We use the best messages in a future show. By the way, how come quickies at 1:40 tomorrow? That I do know. You know why? I don't have to go through the producer on that.
Oh, you just do it yourself?
I wonder who else they have that they haven't told me about. Because I do extensive show prep on my guests.
I can tell.
Back in a moment with Bud Shaw. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
I'm trying to figure out, how to use him best in those two games, but try to dial him up as much as we can. They switched a lot of ball screens, which maybe they'll do later on, but I just like the way he moves, the way he instinctively has a really good feel for the game. Seems to make the game somewhat easier for just finding the open man. I really want to see what he can do. I would try to put him in some different situations. A couple times he made a nice high-low pass. I said I think he's one of those guys that will make everybody better by giving either space or just making this simple, easy pass to the next open man. And it's that simple. He's not taking that extra dribble. He's delivering the ball on time, on target. So I was just really impressed by that in the training camp so far. And then we really saw it today with 19 points. And I don't know the assist number he had. We probably could have had more. We had some tough breaks there. We could have had some finishes and got ahead and won this game, but it didn't happen.
Long way to go, obviously, but is that a role that you envision for Dylan, even when the ball handlers are healthy and right?
Right, that's right. And so I have a strong belief. You just don't amass talent when you're putting a team together. You build a team. And he's one of those components you need to have to make our other guys better. And he's going to make everybody better with the Cavaliers just because the game's simple for him. He can really shoot the ball. and he's a very efficient player, to put it simply.
This is John Beeline talking about Dylan Windler, and he had his first NBA Summer League game, and of course you don't know what the competition is, but he had a big night, 19 points, 8 of 14 from the field, and 3 of 8 three-pointers, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and just 1 turnover, and he did that in 30 minutes.
You know, there's that saying in baseball that you can't believe anything you see in, March or September, right?
Correct.
Because they expand the rosters in September, and you get guys called up, and sometimes they're facing teams that are out of it. And well, in the summer league, I think it's even more true. But I'll say this: I watched that kid last night a little bit, and what Beeline's saying is true. He looks like he knows where he should be on the court.
Right.
He knows what play needs to be made, and I know that sounds trite, but when you watch those summer league games, they look like look like guys running in all different directions, sometimes into each other.
No question about that. Bud Shaw with us. Bud, this weekend was turned upside down in the NBA. A lot of things to talk about, but what hits you first?
Well, the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, teaming up with the New Jersey or Brooklyn Nets. Jeez.
It could wind up being New Jersey again.
Yeah, okay. So, that kind of, I think that's going to be really intriguing. You'd have 2 guys that are, I don't want to say high maintenance, but one guy is just an oddball, right, who never seems to be happy wherever he's at.
And the other one thinks the earth is square.
And the other guy is
sitting out
super sensitive and doesn't ever seem to be happy with where he's at. So
how about
we're not going to see that next year, obviously, with Durant, recovering from an Achilles injury. But I think that one's intriguing, and then I'm really interested in seeing where Kawhi Leonard goes, because he's got, to me, Les, he has that kind of that lone wolf, aura about him.
Does he want to be a third man at LA?
And he, who would be the third man there? I was asked on a radio show yesterday, would this be the greatest collection of a super team, 3 guys? And I thought, well, it would have to be, I think. Now, unless you go back to the Lakers when they had Kareem and Magic and
anybody else, Worthy.
And James Worthy would probably be the guy there. If you go to Miami and LeBron and Wade, I'm not sure Chris Bosh he was very good, but I don't know that he ascended to the level of the 3 guys
20
that
guys
are in
that
LA.
they could have had.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, right, to say maybe LeBron is the third wheel in that.
If Kawhi Leonard goes there?
Yeah. I mean, he's certainly age-wise, he's the guy he's got the most miles on him. He's coming off a season where he was injured.
Who do you feel you would like to lose more? Kyrie's team with Durant, or LeBron's team with Davis and maybe Leonard?
I don't know. I mean,
How are you going to root for him?
I like watching. I got to admit, and it's not a popular opinion here, I like watching these teams that are stacked like this. Just the same reason I like watching. The Yankees to me serve a purpose for. They're the team that everybody hates. They're the team that everybody wants to beat. The Patriots are that way in football now, and I think the NBA had that when LeBron and Wade and Bosh were there, and now they could have it in LA again.
Do you sense that wasn't a popular team with Wade and LeBron and Bosh nationally? Do you think that Davis, LeBron, and Leonard would be a popular team?
Probably.
I think it would be.
Probably, because I think people look at Kawhi Leonard and they think, has he done anything wrong by leaving Toronto? No, I mean, he got traded there. Yep. And he won a title there. So it's not like he's stiffed a fan base.
No, but he didn't give the opportunity to repeat, which, depending on what you put on that, nor did LeBron do that here.
No, well, LeBron did that here.
Oh, yeah, but he only got beat in that one series that year.
But yeah, I don't, and I think people are looking at those teams differently now. It was like, I think it depends on who the guy is who has decided he's going to go meet up with other stars. When it was LeBron, he was the first one to do it. He was the first, and people said, well, Jordan would never have done that, right? Jordan,
well, you don't know.
Jordan never would have done that. And so it looked like he was taking the easy way out by going and playing with Dwayne Wade. Durant clearly got grief for doing the same thing,
with
joining a team that he had just lost to. after being up 3-1. So, but I think that with Kawhi Leonard doing it, I think maybe that criticism is curbed.
All right, I know where you're going to be at 10:20 tomorrow. You're going to be on the phone with me on 92.3 The Fan.
Yes.
At 2:15, I'm going to be at Sokolowski's University to load up on.
You're a wise man.
I am a wise man. Been there every Thursday almost for 25 years. I don't have to ask anybody for any directions on how to get there.
And so is it the same group of paparazzi that waits outside?
Yeah. Yeah, and stalkers, a lot of stalkers, autograph seekers.
I'm sure.
So nothing better than Sokolowski's University Inn. They're open 11 to 3 Monday through Friday, then Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. And the James Beard Foundation thought enough of them to give them the James Beard Foundation Award. Only 5 restaurants in the country get it each and every year. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski got it about 3-4 years ago and couldn't be prouder of that coveted award. Congratulations to them. That's something you say, well, you're talking about it for 3 years. Yeah, I'll talk about it forever. It's a phenomenal achievement. And to my knowledge, it's the only restaurant in Cleveland that's ever received the James Beard Foundation Award. Coming up on 100 years, Bud. I'm here to talk about it and send more people there each and every day. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at the Facebook question of the day and your responses. When we get back, Bud Shaw with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
But let's take a look at this date in sports history, July 2nd, 1903. Remember that, the good old days? Big Ed Delahanty, one of 5 Cleveland brothers to play Major League Baseball, died mysteriously, probably falling off a train into Niagara River and into Niagara Falls. He was elected into the Hall of Fame in 1945.
Why do you say probably?
Well, they say probably. Well, they don't know if he fell off the train or he got off the train and then went to Niagara Falls.
Ah. Okay.
I read the book. It's called July 22nd, 1903, which tells you exactly what today is. Interesting story. I believe that 3 of the brothers are buried here in Cleveland. I believe that. Speaking of Smiley One, my neighbor had they've used them several times, and they'll continue to use them. I saw their truck out there today, Smiley One, and one of the members of our staff being taken care of by Smiley One. Now let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history. And we look back on July 2nd, 1969. Les had a friend who was told by a doctor to walk 10 miles a day. 5 days later, the friend called Les and said, I'm 50 miles from home.
That's, I don't know. I'm going to
What do you mean you don't know?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that sounds made up. Am I right? Or am I wrong?
Well, we've been doing the show for 20-some years. Now, when do you think I'm going to come up with something new? There has to be, each and everything we do, somebody's got to say, oh, no, he did that on April 14th, 1992. You think that one was made up?
It has that hint of fiction.
All right, what about our Facebook question of the day? You know what we asked our people? What should the Browns do with Kareem Hunt? That was the question. Here's the answer. Melvin Stickle, keep him. He's a great talent. Chris Ard says, ugh. I've never used that word. I'm afraid this is another Josh Gordon-like saga. I hope they hold on to Duke until this guy's suspension is just up, just to be safe. Rick May says, let him go, then make amends with Duke Johnson. His complaining pales in comparison to the soap opera Hunt is creating. Ed Arlen says, I would dump him today. He will never change. And Dennis Davis says, tell him this is it. Screw up again and you're done. Well, they've told him that.
Yeah.
Everybody's told him that.
And again, we don't know. I mean, we know that the police did not find cause to file a police report.
Correct.
So,
and they did talk to him.
Yeah. And so, you know, was it a night of bad judgment or bad behavior? It sounds like maybe based on the facts we know that it was more bad judgment.
Yeah, but both sides get in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, when you're out somewhere as a young guy having a few drinks, and I don't know that he was, but he is the one who told us that he's gone through anger counseling and alcohol counseling. So maybe hanging out at the Barley House is not,
right. We
not
have
the
a
best.
Facebook question of the day each and every day. Then we have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Let's hear what Ron has to say on the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, Les. This is Ron Byer. Hey, Les, do you think the dramatic change in the way we were taught to play sports and watch sports has changed? Because of the huge change in society, because of the need for instant satisfaction and excitement, and the instant gratification, which has created the emphasis on the three-point shot in basketball, home run in baseball, and the long bomb in football.
Well, he makes a great point, talking about the long bombs, throwing the ball as deep as they all do. Ball control is not a factor anymore.
Yeah, less and
baseball,
less.
the home run, which is now getting crazy. And Bell of Pittsburgh wrapped out 3 of them last night. And what else? Oh, he talked about the three-point shot in basketball. Yeah, I think he's onto something.
Yeah, it's certainly, you know, baseball has become that. And it's, you know, we always sound old when we talk about, you know, oh, they don't bunt anymore or anything.
Right.
But they're not asked to do that as young players anymore.
No, but
half the time in college, they're using, you know, aluminum bats.
Sure.
The ball flies off those things.
Terry
so
Francona has been using
not
the
that
bunt.
kind of game anymore.
Terry Francona has been using the bunt a lot this year. He doesn't like the bunt.
Yeah.
But what he also doesn't like is the offensive power that he has on the team. And he at some point, he also believes in if you score first, you got a better chance to win. That sounds elementary, but if you score in the first or second inning, first in the game, he figures that the other team's trying so hard to catch up and get over the hill, it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it's all, you know, specific to the opponent, right? If you're playing a team that doesn't have a very good lineup,
right,
and you can get ahead of them, you feel pretty good with that bullpen, thinking that you can come away with a win that night.
No, that's a good point. All right, the Indians have games against Kansas City, 3 games here. Then over the weekend, a rare Friday night off, I don't know. And over the weekend, Cincinnati, in Cincinnati. That's 5 games. They got to have 4, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the Twins are with the White Sox right now, and then I'm not sure where. Or they finished up with the White Sox. Yeah, I mean, at some point this is going to flip a little bit, and the Twins are going to get this soft spot in the schedule where they're playing Detroit and Baltimore and those teams. So I think that they have to get it. If they could cut it, as you say, to 5 or 6 games by the All-Star break.
Knock off another one.
If you can knock off, and if they open with the Twins, I think right out of the gate, and maybe after that series, they'll be able to look at themselves and say, are we 2 behind or are we 8 behind again?
All right. Not only do I scoreboard watch, I schedule watch.
Mm-hmm.
The last week of the season, if you don't know the answer to this, you're going to be astounded. The last 9 games. The first 3 of that 9-game set to close out the season is at home against Philadelphia, which I believe is still a National League team.
Yes.
The A's are
not a very good National League team right now.
And Harper didn't make the All-Star team. Then they have the 3 middle games against the AAA Detroit Tigers, and then they finish off the season with their rivals, the Washington Nationals. I understand they
it
have
doesn't
to
make
have it.
any sense.
I understand they have to have it for interleague play purposes.
But at that point in the season,
At that point, you're going to ask Cleveland when they play the last 3 games of the season. You're going to ask them to play with the pitcher batting, and your season could be determined whether, I don't know, Bieber can bunt or not, and they haven't bunted all year.
well, you know I'm in favor of just making the DH
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And I know some people are in favor the other way of doing away with the DH and having. I just think it's a more exciting game, and maybe this talks to Ron's.
If he wants home runs.
Truth and reason comment. But
yeah.
Maybe I fall into that because I don't want to see pitchers hit anymore.
Right. If you want to see home runs, you want 9 guys batting instead of 8.
I would say I want to see offense. I don't want to see
I agree.
shore outs.
Absolutely.
You know?
Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And they've got them at Northfield Park Saturday evening with the post time of 6 p.m. Open early every day for simulcast action with a Sunday contest. Top prize $500 in cash, and Lady Luck's Clubhouse open every Saturday with a buffet for just $15.95. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. We're coming back one more time with Bud Shaw. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
My basement was a disaster. We tried carpet, we tried tile on our uneven basement floor, but nothing worked.
Moisture, dampness, even flooding will not harm Nature Stone. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of June and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at nick-chubb.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, the D-Man will be here from WTAM Radio, but he's still so excited that Rocky Calavito called him the D-Man last week.
It is. It's quite a
Quite a coup
high
for
praise.
the D-Man,
Yeah,
no question
quite high
about
praise.
that. You see us live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can, of course, archive us any time of the day or night on cleveland.com. Facebook.com is where you can also find us. New content is posted each and every day. Bud Shaw with us. No live shows Thursday and Friday because of the holiday. Let's take a look at some emails that we got. Cleveland Bill says, I believe fans can expect more from players in the public spotlight who are making millions of dollars a year than to hear of their engagement with police at a bar at 2 a.m. Which fans would not have been shocked to have heard that police were questioning Paul Warfield, Bill Glass, Brad Doherty, or Rocky Calavito, stars all of them, at a bar in the early morning. Character matters. I'm sure, I don't know about those guys, but I'm sure there were a lot of teams had guys who would party.
Well, I read Ball 4.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and
Bill Nelson, quarterback from the Browns.
And that was written in, I think, '69.
Yep.
So.
Mike Hegan was part of that.
Oh, Ball 4?
Yeah. That was the Seattle team, Seattle Mariners.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
This from Ken in Defiance, talking about what Bud and I were saying before. Several years ago, I was in Burbank, California, visiting my son in August. Went to a local sports bar to see if we could watch the Browns play a preseason game. When we walked in, we were greeted with a bar full of Browns fans wearing brown shirts and hats. Ken in Defiance. One of them was John Dorsey. That's not true, and you know it. Cleveland Bill has a how come quickie. How come the Ballet Basketball League coach was frustrated when her players would go one-on-one in their tutus?
Okay.
No.
Am I giving?
Okay.
Am I giving
when
grades
we get
on
down
those?
to John
Okay.
Patrick
All right.
and Mr. Gullible also. Here's Mr. Gullible. How come space aliens don't visit our planet because of the terrible 1-star rating we got? See, we were talking about the Emory University thing.
Yeah.
He says Earth got a 1-star rating.
I didn't like that one very much.
Well, then for sure you won't like this one. How come with great reflexes come great response abilities?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, here comes John Patrick. Double header, double dose. I know Bud doesn't like how come quickies that are puns, but here are two that are funny, not just punny.
I'll be the judge of that.
How come I have an inferiority complex, but it's not a very good one?
Now that's not a pun. I like that.
No, that's not a pun.
That's a twist.
It is a twist
All
and
right.
turn. How come when I tried to sneak into a Star Trek commercial disguised as a doctor, the security guard knew I wasn't the real McCoy? See, Dr. McCoy, Bones McCoy from.
I did that. They are
Star
called
Trek.
quickies, sir.
Well, they are. So what are you going to give them? Combination of 9.0.
Yeah.
Which as long as he's staying in the 9s.
Yeah, I would say you'd be pretty happy with that. I know what he's striving for, and it's going to take.
It's going to have to be a Babe Ruthian clout
It
at
is.
this point because you've come so close. 9 7s.
It's going to be a drop the marker.
I think Jeff Shadell gave him a 3.6.
Was it that bad, or
no? I don't think he understood the grading system.
did he understand the how come quickie? It sounds like you might not have.
Jeff loves them.
Okay.
What he really likes is the 1947 birthdays. So I do extra special, funny, punny.
You mean
ones.
those are made up too?
Those are made up.
I've only been coming on here for 20 years, so I'm learning some things tonight. What do you think this town is going to be like when this football team goes to camp? Even just going to camp. Do you know how many tickets? And I realize they're free tickets, right?
Well, no, they had to pay for them, and it goes to Brown's Charities.
Okay.
I think $5.
It was something like.
Is that fair, by the way? I think it is.
Probably, yeah. It was something like 32,000 or whatever went in the first hour for practice.
Practice?
Yeah. So we're talking practice, and 32,000 people said, I don't mind sitting out in 95-degree weather
but those
far
same
from the
people,
practice field.
If the Browns only go 10-6, those same people are going to be upset and disappointed.
It's funny, like I heard Baker Mayfield do a promo for something, or at least his quote was used as part of something, and he said, I know a lot of people are expecting us to go to the Super Bowl. I'm like, or contend for a Super Bowl. And I'm like, really?
You don't think so?
Well, who?
Oh, I talk to people all the time. A lot of them think they are. I try to.
Based on what?
Well, they were 8-7-1.
No, they were 7-8-1.
7-8-1. I mean, see.
No, listen, I get it. I know that they're have more talent and everything.
There's
I'm
also
just saying
some very good teams in the conference. Not maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
they're as good or better than the division.
The
but
Chiefs are been at this for a little while.
And watch out for Indianapolis.
And Indianapolis is coming. I still think, and I know it's not a popular prediction, but I still think Pittsburgh and Baltimore are going to be teams to deal with.
Don't you think the Browns are on a par with them at this point?
I would think, talent-wise, I think they're better.
Yeah.
They're better than them right now.
The Browns are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think across the roster,
But you
talent-wise.
also have a new coach. You don't know how that's going to impact.
A new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator.
All right, I got to go. I got to get some sleep because I got to talk to you at 10:20 tomorrow.
All right, I'll come up with.
I'll be there.
I'll come up with new material.
You're gonna make me look bad. That's what friends do.
If you fall asleep during the show tomorrow, it won't be me that makes you look bad.
It also won't be the first time. I'm saying, who are those boring guys on the radio today? Well, one of them is Les. All right, that'll do it for us. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow, and then D-Man Dennis Manilow tomorrow night, 6 until 7, live right here on cleveland.com. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.